Welcome to the 43rd session on programming in C. Today we are going to learn about accessing a variable through its pointer. So we are familiar that a pointer is nothing but a variable that holds the address of other variable. Suppose if you look at a variable, suppose if I declare a variable like int, say var, and if I assign a value 50 to it, what is going to happen within the memory is that there will be, this is memories are continuously allocated. Somewhere within the memory, for integer, if you recall back integer, olden days integer used to take 2 bytes, now it consumes 4 bytes. So whatever may be the size of the integer, it allocates enough storage, that is enough bytes to store a integer, and it's going to call that particular location as var. Now suppose if I go and create a integer pointer by putting star ptr, and if I assign the address of var to this particular pointer, then what happens is, remember, this is also a variable. So within the memory, some other location within the memory, a value or a allocation that is required for integer is given, and this particular location is called as ptr. Now interestingly, what is going to happen here is this ptr will be able to store the address of the other variable. So here, if you look at here, var is equal to 50. That means I am assigning the value 50 to this variable. In turn, what I'm doing is I'm trying to store 50 in the location that is pointed by var. Now there will be a address that is associated with this particular location. So there is going to be some address. Now for the brevity, I'm going to just say this address is 9999, 4 times 9. Now what happens when I execute this statement? Now when I execute this statement, I am going to get the address. So this is going to give me the address of this variable. Remember, the value within the variable is 50 and the address of it is 9999. That address 9999 will be stored in this location. So this location will now contain 9999. This is just I'm just giving a blind address here. So the address may be something different, but just assume that that's the address. So that is going to be stored here. Now the question is, so because of the PTR, remember, now PTR is actually pointing to this location. That is the address of the variable. Now, if I know the address of this location, or if I know this location, can I fetch the value from this location? So is it possible for me to get this value? That means, in other words, what I'm saying is, if I know the address of a particular location, is it possible for me to get the data or the value that is stored at that location? How can I get that one? In order to get that thing, I am going to say here, see, PTR, if I just say, what is the value of PTR? If I ask this question to C, it is going to say that value that is stored in PTR is 9999. Don't get confused. If I ask someone, if I ask you, what is the value that is stored in var? You are going to say var is a value 50. So what is stored inside var is 50. In the same way, if I ask you a question, what is stored inside PTR is PTR is assigned the address of var. So what is there inside PTR is not 50. What is there inside PTR is 9999. But now I am not interested in this address 9999. I want the value 50. How do I get that? To get that thing, I have to go to this reference, that is the address that is pointed by PTR, and then, not to get this address, but the value that is stored in that address. How do I get that thing? To get the address, I'm going to again put the star and I'm going to say star PTR. So look at the difference between them. Just PTR will give me the value that is stored in this location. But if I say star PTR, it will go to that location, whichever the address is there inside this PTR, it will go to that location, and from that location, it will fetch the value and give it to you. So it's going to get the value and give it to you. So this is called as a dereferencing. So what is this dereferencing? So dereferencing means accessing the value stored at an address that is pointed by a pointer. Okay, so you are trying to get the value which is there at that location, or which value of that address that is stored in the inside the pointer variable. So how do I get that thing? I am supposed to put this star here. Okay. So what is the advantage of that? Advantage of that is using the dereferencing, I can either read the value or I can modify the value. How can I do that thing? So just to give you an example over here. So let me just create a variable int var is equal to 50. Okay. Suppose if I create a pointer, how do I create a pointer? How to declare a pointer? Pointer starts with the star. And if I assign the address of var, okay. Now suppose if I say star ptr is equal to say 55. So what will happen in this case? So what will happen if I do this? Okay, so let us look at that. Let us look at this first statement. So within the memory, whenever you declare a variable inside the memory, some location within the memory, it's going to take that particular location and it's going to call this location as var. So this is generally done. And you are assigning the value 50 here. So 50 is stored in this location. 50 is stored here. So that is done. Next, I am creating a variable. A pointer is also a variable, so it may be used for some special purpose, but it is a variable. So PTR. And what I am doing is I am giving the address. So this address, whatever the address which is there, I am storing that address here. So I am storing this address at this location. So I am taking that address and I am storing here. Now look at this statement. Remember, I am not declaring. These are all declaration statements. Okay. So I am not declaring anything. I am now without int, without anything. I am just saying star PTR. So what is this star PTR? I am dereferencing. What is the meaning of saying dereferencing? I am going to this location. I am going to this particular location over here. So I go to this location. Okay, and within this location, I go to this location, and within that location, I am saying that 50 has to be stored. Remember, I am not saying the address here. I am going to the location here, and I am saying store 55 in this location. So what happened now was 55 is stored in that location. So that is the main difference. So I have what I have done is in turn I have modified the value of var. Suppose if you ask me what is the value of var after this the var, if you ask what is the value of var is 55. How did that happen? This happened because I am dereferencing. I am going to this location. I went to this location and I have changed or I have modified this location. So I have changed that location and made changes to the values which were stored in that location. That is why when you are dereferencing, either you will be able to read or modify the value that are stored at the location that is pointed by the variable. So let us look at one example over here. So what I have here is I have a int variable called var. So just assume that you have the memory here, and this particular location is called as var. So this is called as var. You are storing, and you are storing 20 inside this. That is also done. Okay, then you create one more variable. So you create one more variable. Let you call this particular thing as ptr. So you create a pointer variable. So this is called as ptr, and you are giving the address of this. So let me assume that the address of this is 4 times 9. Just for brevity, I am just giving the address of var is 9999. So address is like your roll number. So if so how you have this roll number, so this is your address, but you all of you have your own name. So that is the different story. So either you have your address, or you can have your name. Both of them can be used interchangeably. So what is stored in ptr is the address. Now suppose if I ask this question, what is the original value of var? How do I get to that? So original value of R is I am dereferencing. See, look at it here. I am dereferencing. So what is the meaning of saying dereferencing? I am going to the location that is or the address that is stored inside PTR, and then I am moving inside here and fetching the value. So this star which is here that says fetch the value. So what is going to be printed is 20. Now what I am doing is I am assigning the value 30 to this, where I am assigning the value. Look at here, it is star PTR. So what is the meaning of saying star PTR? Go to the location that is pointed, or that is address that is stored in the star PTR. Don't just go here. Go into the location and put the value 30 there. So this 30 will be now stored here, 30. So suppose if I say modified value, and if I say now, if I ask this var, what is the value? So var will tell that the new value is 30 because it has been modified. So that is simple as that. That's all in this session. Thank you for your interest. We will meet again.